1, 2, 3, listen.
Welcome back to the DotCast from NineDots. NineDots is the online learning community for wedding photographers. Find out more and join up for full access to all the content in our famous member zone at nine-dots.co. Hello and a big welcome back. I'm Adam Johnson, one of the co-founders of NineDots, along with the ultra-talented Gaines and Rahul Khona. In this series of DotCast episodes, I'm having a good old chat to some of the photographers in the NineDots community about how they approach their photography and run their businesses. You'll struggle to find a more positive wedding photographer than today's guest, Staffordshire-based Adam Lowndes. He describes himself as a super extrovert and he injects every ounce of his personality into his business. We'll get deep and talk about his perspective on life, being affected by the 2020 pandemic as a groom who's had to postpone his own wedding, and why he believes in actively making amazing memories for his couples over and above the relatively simple act of taking photos. You can't help but find Adam's genuinely positive attitude totally inspiring. As ever, if you've got comments or suggestions, or if you want to ask a question which we'll answer live in a future episode, get in touch with us on Facebook, Instagram, or email to hello@nine-dots.co. Happy listening. Knowing me, Adam Johnson, knowing you, Adam Lowndes, aha.
I knew you were going to do this.
Were you an Alan Partridge fan, or have you ever been an Alan Partridge fan?
So it's a weird thing, to be honest. So I was raised on a lot of like American television. We got Sky pretty early, so all that like stuff got poured into my mind in a way, and I sort of picked up a fake American accent for a bit as well, which my family often goaded me for. But when me and my partner Sarah started going out, her dad would be like, "Oh, have you not seen this? Oh, whoa!" And it'd be almost like there'd be something missing from like the museum of television history within my mind. So we watched Alan Partridge, and I was a bit like, what is this? Like, am I meant to hate him? Am I meant to love him? Like, where are we going with what? Like, and then just slowly loved it in a way. But yeah.
Oh, good. That's good though. That's good. But so I remember I had a mate back when Sky first came out who had Sky, and he was literally my only friend who had Sky. And like me and him and like a few of our mates would all go to his house to watch The Simpsons every Sunday.
It was a forefront of times, I'm telling you. we didn't even, our remote didn't even say Sky on it. That's where we were. But yeah, I was incredibly lucky when I was younger. And
so I've heard of introverts and I've heard of extroverts, but you on your website describe yourself as a super extrovert. What is it? What makes an extrovert a super extrovert?
It's just bizarre, really. I mean, like so many of my friends describe me like just as this like when I get going, I'm unstoppable sort of thing. And then it's funny because when I'm just having a sort of like off day anyway, so I shot on Friday and then on Saturday I was just feeling absolutely wiped out, and everyone was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was just like, I'm just not talking. I'm fine. I'm just having a quiet day in a way. And for those who don't know me, I obviously, as you could probably already tell, speak at 155 miles per hour pretty much all the time, and just love literally everything and love life and
it's so true.
Yeah, just literally have a zest. I just love everything, basically, yeah.
You do. I was watching your Instagram stories yesterday, because obviously we'll talk about this in a minute, but you shot a wedding yesterday. You were very passionate about it, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Do you think it's possible, because you're 6'7", is that right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to be 6'7" and not be an extrovert?
Oh, it's really bizarre to be like. So it's funny that you pick up on this, because I've thought about this before in the past, and if you imagine yourself as a teenager, and every teenager's got to grow confidence in a way, and I always think you got to put yourself out there. But the problem with myself was people were coming to me. They wanted to talk to me straight away. How tall are you? What's the weather like up there? Do you play basketball? Is your girlfriend that big? Are your mum and dad that big? Like, just constantly. So you almost gain a bit of wit from that, a bit of confidence to talking to strangers, and yeah, it's just really bizarre. And then you really get great at opening up like just random conversations. So I would say so, but I've met some shy other fellow tallies, but most people are super friendly who are tall. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe you're onto something there.
Do you mind when people come in, the first thing they want to talk about is how tall you are?
I like to think it doesn't really happen that much anymore. I almost think maybe people think it's discriminative now or something, like it's gone completely the other way. I don't really mind it anymore. Like it got to a point where it got really sarcastic. I'm not gonna lie. Probably in the prepubescent, the post-pubescent to teenager, pre-adult kind of stage. But
Yeah.
that was. That was the angry sort of like egotistical phase of my life in a way. But yeah,
It must be quite useful socially though to have a conversation starter, like a natural conversation starter sometimes.
yeah, it is really good. And sometimes, like obviously, like moving on to weddings in a way, people will come up to me and they will ask me that question, or they'll say stuff like, "Oh, you don't have to stand on anything, get up there for those big group shots, do you?" And that was my random wedding guest number one imitative voice, by the way.
Yeah, that's good. We're looking forward to hearing the rest.
More to come in the back catalogue. But yeah, they'd say stuff like that, and then we just chat, and like I just love all people, and I think we're getting really deep really fast here. But I think like business wise, like the more people I can have behind me, the faster we'll move in a way.
And also, it is a time when. And not that you're doing it for this reason, it's definitely not why I'm saying it, but it's cool to be positive. It's cool to be a positive person in this day and age. And so you are that naturally. You are naturally a very positive person. You are 100 miles an hour. I've said this to you before. I'm not insulting you when I say that, and I don't think you take it as an insult either. But you're very friendly, you're very outgoing, and you're one of these people who instantly... Yeah, I remember the first time I spoke to you, you weren't very well that day. I think when I met you at the NEC, and instantly, even though we only had like probably a couple of minute chat, I thought, I feel like I've known him for a while, because you just are that kind of friendly guy. But you're talking about weddings, because you are very tall. Do you find yourself having to crouch a lot?
Yeah, very much so. And I can remember I didn't really think anyone used screens on cameras. So we've all got pop out screens now in a way, and they all go this way, that way, and every other way. But I never really used mine. And then there came a point where people started using screens, and that was revolutionary for me. Because like I didn't like I could take an extra like 2 foot off like my crouched position in a way. So yeah, it was a game changer when I was like, oh, screens are cool. Like I can use them. Yeah, that's awesome. I could tilt my little screen up and put my camera on the floor and not have to lie down in this grass or anything. But yeah, it's even better though. Sometimes I still lie down because people love it, don't they?
They do. Yeah. And plus that'll save you hunchback in years to come as well, that you've been able to use the screen. Because you shoot Nikon D750s, is that right?
Yeah.
And that was like the first camera, proper like wedding photography camera that had screen, had a tilty screen.
Yeah,
good for you. But also because most, I guess, and this will go more into like what your personality is in a lot of ways as well. But a lot of a wedding is just kind of capturing the action candidly, like documentary, whatever you want to call it. It's very difficult for somebody that's 6'7" to blend in and be unnoticeable.
I don't think that's possible for me anyway. Like I've second shot for people before, way back when, and I've got a really close friend, someone who we sort of grew up like shooting at the same time together, and she went off further ahead of me, and I sort of trailblazed in her path and stole all her secrets. But we were second shooting together one time, and like I just wanted to talk. Just constant, and she was silent, and I just didn't get it. I was just like, it just didn't make sense to me. I just wanted to be there within the wedding, and very much so. Like I love it. Like I was discussing this the other day. Like I really like where people stare down the camera at random moments in the day, and they look at me with like joy on their face, because that's how comfortable they feel when I'm taking their photograph. And that's like a really personally like great moment for me in a wedding, is when someone does that, because I really feel like they wouldn't be looking at me like that unless they thought I was all right. If they thought I was cool, if they thought I was nice, nice person.
Because you're a total people person, that's how I see you. And I guess this is going to answer my next question before I've even asked it really, but why did you get into weddings in the first place? Why? I mean, were you already a photographer and then started doing weddings, or did you just get into weddings and photography at the same time?
Oh, it all stems from the post-teenage ego that I was talking about earlier, in a way. And picked up a camera in the 10 to 20-year-old range, and was messing around doing different things, music, skateboarding, nothing serious at all ever, and never thought I'd be able to take a decent photo. Just wanted to mess around with bokeh probably most of the time and stuff like that, like everyone does. And then yeah, I went to America, did some work over there for a summer camp, like shooting, and then my sister asked me to take her wedding photographs, and I was like, yeah, got this, easy, nailing this, and yeah, it was incredibly hard, but at the same time, it was incredibly amazing because yeah, I just sort of fell in love with it, and believe it or not, but the people part of my personality in the business was introduced at a later stage, and it was at first it was more the artistic kind of side and creating like great photographs and stuff like that, and orchestrating little moments here and there to get positive things, and then I would say like so I shot my first wedding in 2010, same year as you, and yeah, I wouldn't say like the last 4 years, 5 years, that's when the personalities really become like injected in a way. I can't even remember what the question was now.
No, that's good. Why did you choose weddings though as an outlet for your photography? Just because your sister asked you? And
yeah, basically, it was just like anyone else. I just sort of fell into it, and then more so now, it's completely changed. Really, the reasoning that I do it more so now, it affords me to lead a lifestyle that I really enjoy, which is a super flexible living, and I only have to show up to 40 days a year, where I have to keep those dates free. Any other time of the year, I can just be with everyone that I love, doing what I love, spending time at home with my dog, and that's what I really care about. Like at the end of the day, yeah, weddings are awesome, and I love doing this job, but it's what it gives me in my personal time, which is the best.
So if you won Euro Millions, would you still be a wedding photographer?
I'd do it for free then. I thought about this before, obviously, because my mind thinks about a million things a day. But yeah, I'd open some kind of like website where people's like submitted their hopes and dreams or something, and I was like, what's that guy in America who hangs like the big check? Like I'd just turn up with a big like wedding photography like camera check thing and give it to people and be like, yes, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be awesome, I love you guys.
That's amazing though. I don't think a lot of people would say that they would carry on if they didn't need to earn the money from it. So it's cool because you were quite honest in the first way as well by saying that part of the reason you do it is because it's a good business and it's a way to make money and have the lifestyle that you want around the working days. Or the wedding days. So obviously, there's work to be done on the other days. But like you say, you can fit it in whenever you feel like it. You can do it at 11 p.m. or 7 a.m. or all on Sundays or whatever you want to do at that point, can't you? That's two honest answers. But I think that goes to show that you get a lot out of it on a personal level. The actual being present on the wedding days, being part of the wedding days, and putting your personality onto it. But talking about like the personality side of it, why do you think it was that in those first 5 years that you didn't really feel able to kind of go full Adam Lowndes?
The first 5 years was more so like getting to that stage where I could just take great wedding photos in a way, like the standard photos like confetti, walking down the aisle, first kiss, and those kind of things. And then once I got that down, and then once I started shooting aperture priority as well, like I could just leave the camera. Like the camera just was its own thing. And yeah, okay, I have to remind myself it exists now and again and change some settings and stuff. But then it just afforded me the like lifestyle to just do what I wanted on a wedding day in a way. And I didn't have to be tied down by setting a tripod up or setting this up or setting that up. My whole way I approach a wedding is just so that I can be myself, basically, like, which is really strange in a way. But yeah, it pictures second because I want to just enjoy the day in a way.
That makes a lot of sense. I actually think that personally, that in about 2014, 2015, it was almost like the wedding photography industry was given permission to do it the way you want to do it. And whereas before that, to me, a bit more, not so much, but it felt more like you had to kind of 90% of the time you had to kind of do the standard wedding photography approach, and if you were able to get a bit of your personality or a bit of your own take on the world and take on art into it, that was great. But then in 2015 I definitely felt a shift towards, just go and be however you want to be, do whatever you want to do, make the work that you want to make. And I definitely felt a shift in about 2014, 2015. So maybe that's part of it as well, that you just, like, how involved in the industry were you back then?
Like non-existent. So like my involvement within the community, like of the industry, whatever you want to call it, is only been more so in the last like 3-4 years since I left full-time employment to do this full-time. So I was always a part-time gig before that. And like, I got bit quite hard quite early. So I did this photograph, and it was like you remember those like umbrella photographs with the flash behind and then the like silhouette kind of thing. I'm just going to admit to these photos, and I'm not ashamed. I'm the kind of person who will put this, front and center on my page when I'm, doing a big like talk at some point. It was probably a gimmick of the time in a way, but I did that and posted it on some group. I think I was like on, Wedding Photographers UK or something. It was very, very obvious group name in a way, and this guy local to me reached out and was like, "Well, I just took that photo last week. Like, so you copying my work now?" And I was like, "Whoa!" I was only doing maybe 5 to 10 weddings at this point a year, and just felt really sort of like I was like, "Whoa, where's all this aggression coming from?" And then it wasn't until later when I sort of like decided to dip my toe again and went to like my first workshop, and subsequently signed up for like this is a reportage, NineDots, went to a few other workshops here and there, done some SEO stuff here and there, that I really sort of like began to enjoy that because I'd sort of found my crowd in a way.
So what you're basically saying is your first attempt at being part of a wedding photography community was quite a negative one, and you felt shunned because you'd somehow, without even knowing it, had copied somebody else's work.
Yeah, very much so. And as a rule of thumb now, so I don't know if you've noticed this in your research, but I don't follow any wedding photographers now on my Instagram account. So the only people I follow on my business Instagram account are my couples and mainly my brides, because they're the only ones who use it. And every time I go on Instagram and, you do that sort of like almost like knee-jerk reaction, like, oh, just open Instagram up because I'm not doing anything right now, even though I am. And I can just check in on my brides, and it helps build that relationship with them rather than looking at other people's work, which maybe make me feel down if I'm not having a great day or if I'm feeling a bit upset about my own work. I can just interact with people and forget that there's a whole world of wedding photographers out there that are taking amazing pictures. I can just focus on my own thing in a way.
That's really healthy, I think, because because at the same time you are. I would say you're quite an active member of the NineDots community. Like if people ask for help in the Facebook group, you're always, if it's something that you've got some wisdom on or passionate about, you're often one of the first to chip in and help other people. But I think that's the healthy way to use the industry, is to ask for help when you need help, give help if somebody else needs help, but not use it in a way where you're like constantly comparing yourself to their work and why their pictures and all the rest of it. So I think that's a really healthy balance.
Yeah, I mean, criticism and feedback and stuff like that is so healthy, and I would take anything from my work ever, as long as it's constructive and in a kind way. And with the NineDots community, like that is literally the only group I'm a part of at the moment, or even like I'm a part of other groups. I just have them on silence and things like that. This is another lifestyle choice in a way. I just have all my groups on silence really, and I'll just check in occasionally on the NineDots group and offer something in the way of an opinion. And it's a bit like with these podcasts, gaining vast amount of opinion and seeing what's there. And it's really helpful in the NineDots group because it's not the kind of thing where people get sort of silenced in a way. Sometimes it's quite heated things to kick off, and it's allowed to sort of like build in a way, and then when it gets to a sort of a logical end in a way, then it's ended. It's not like one of these things where as soon as anything arises, it's like shut down.
I think it's quite a grown-up group, isn't it? And it's allowed to be grown-ups having grown-up conversations.
Yeah,
and not being over policed. Yeah, no, it's good that you see it that way. The unique thing about the way that you approach, and especially the way that you sell your wedding photography, is that it is mainly based around the connection, the personal connection that it's not so much based around pictures, is it? It's more based around that personal connection that you're able to make with your couples, and you are passionate about making. So it's not like a sales pitch in a way that you're just saying the thing that you think that is the right thing to say because it's going to get you business. Like that's what you're. I mean, you're obviously passionate about making pictures, so I'm not. Don't take it.
No,
don't take
I know
it.
what you're trying to say,
that.
Adam. Don't worry.
But what I'm saying is like you really see that as your like USP. That is the connection you want to make with the clients.
Yeah, my dad's like, he's a bit of like a silent kind of guy, but every now and again he'll come out with like these pearls of wisdom, and he's like, anyone can take pictures, but no one's you. You're like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And it's like mind blown, like, and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure he said that, but yeah, you'll love that. And it's very much the case of like anyone these days is taking fantastic pictures. You only have to scroll through some groups or anywhere and do these things. And what's going to separate you from the crowd? If a bride contacts, 5 to 10 wedding photographers and they all send, their portfolios over, then they're all going to look pretty similar in a way. And really, yeah, everyone's taking fantastic photographs. And it became a point as well where my hero photographs were getting better and better and better. And people were booking me because of my hero photographs. But then there was an immense pressure to take better hero photographs at every single wedding. So it was just building and building and building. And my anxiety was like just going through the roof. And I was just thinking like, I can't just keep taking like how are these going to get any better? And then I found myself just recreating photographs. And I was like, this is boring. Like we don't want to be doing this. We want to be creating new stuff. And, every time a couple comes to me now and they're like, oh, I love that photo of this. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But your photos are going to look completely different in their own special way, sort of thing. And really sell that to start off with, because I don't really want it to ever be tied down to, recreating any of my work as much. So I do it, to make an occasional person happy, but I'd rather just approach it with a new thing every time. So that's why I say my sort of USP in a way is me. And that's a huge part of, like you said, my Instagram before and like my emails and things like that. Yeah.
It's funny what you talk about, because I think the golden wisdom nugget in that little section then is that the pressure to make pictures gives you a bit more anxiety. Whereas there's never a pressure to be yourself, is there? You don't need to put pressure. You don't need to put pressure on yourself to go to a wedding and be yourself, because that's just your natural.
Exactly. I can just turn up and I'm like, I'm here. I've done it. I've completed it. I'll go home now, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you build your whole approach around that, then surely that makes you less anxious, because it's easy to be yourself, and also makes you enjoy it more. Makes you enjoy the process more, because you realize that you're doing your USP very naturally. And if you're happy with the work you're making off the back of it, then win-win.
Yeah, I mean, I would say pretty much all of my couples just want me to be there, to be by their side quite a lot of the time. And, a little thing I say on all my meetings is that if you don't like me, don't book me, because there'll be nothing more horrendous than me turning up to a wedding where the couple are not really into me and they don't really sort of believe in me and the way I do things. It'll just be completely awkward, and you won't look like yourself in your photographs. You won't enjoy your photographs. Yeah. So
is that why then, just moving on to the Instagram thing, like, is that why you give so much of yourself in your Instagram stories, so that people really, not just your existing couples have obviously booked you because they like that anyway, so it's giving them more of that side of it and the reason they booked, and also your couples that may be looking at you they'll either love that or they'll be maybe a little bit turned off by it and move on to a different photographer.
Very much so. For example, like I looked at everyone else's Instagram. It's a bit like with the photos, really. We're all taking good photos. We're all taking good photos and putting them on Instagram. What is no one else doing on Instagram? No one's really doing stories where they talk to the camera. Only probably some really, really top photographers are doing that kind of thing. And I want my couples to really be bought into me and my work. And especially at a time like the pandemic, I don't want to be the one person that they choose not to bring along to their new date. So I've heard it time and time again with the people who've been rearranging for myself, and it's only to do with what I've put forward, is that, oh yeah, you were the second person we called, like, after the venue. Some people have even said I was the first person they called, and I've made a point of reaching out to everyone at the start of the pandemic and sort of saying, everyone this year can change dates. That's fine by me. And, you can pick on my calendar here and we can go through that, and just making it all really personable and really sort of, like I care about them, which I actually do.
Yeah.
And, because they care about me, they're affording me to live this amazing life. So I'm going to go out of my way to do anything possible to help them with them in their day or anything like that. And the stories, in a way, are just a way of building that relationship. So I don't know, things like Alan Partridge, like you watch it, you feel like you're friends with him, you feel like you know him. It's very much a celebrity thing in a way, isn't it? You see all this kind of celebrity stuff, and then you'll meet a celebrity and you'll be like, I know so much about you, when really you don't really know that much about them. And I suppose it's sort of a similar thing with the Instagram stories. I go on, I talk to, the followers that I've got, and, they respond really positively to it, and they really like seeing those kind of things and seeing me, raise the positivity at such a bad time as well, which is what I was trying to do on Friday, was it?
Either Friday or yesterday. I think I might have watched it yesterday. But just, I mean, what we're talking about there is you shot a wedding on Friday, right? Yeah,
Yeah, Friday.
And then on either that day or the next day, you put
It was on the way home.
Yeah, you put a series of Instagram stories on, just saying how much you'd enjoyed it, how positive you felt because of it. The stories, some of the stories that had happened on the day, and just genuinely, extremely passionately how that day had made you feel personally as a photographer, and how you felt like it had made the couple feel. And it was very raw, wasn't it? There was no. And again, I mean this totally as a compliment. It wasn't in any way businessy.
Yeah, but it is businessy. At the end of the day,
yeah.
that's what's so good about it. It was so the moment that we're talking about is that I purposely walked my couple through one of the busiest areas of the Northern Quarter in Manchester because I knew everyone was going to cheer and clap, and it is such a time like this that we're in now, as I described on the video. I'm not a frontline worker. I can't do anything like that. I can't, I'm not a bin collector. I don't do anything like that. But we need people to raise the excitement and the joy and the positivity of everyone. And us as wedding photographers have a really important job there. So we can do that, and we can do it sort of half-assed and be like, hey, I shot my first post-COVID wedding, like sort of thing. Or we can really, really get into it and go for it and be like, wow, weddings are back. Here we are, sort of thing. This is it. This is what we're doing. And, purposely walking that couple through that middle bit of Manchester. Obviously, I was trying to get a great photo out of it in a way. But I just loved the atmosphere of everyone just being so positive. And everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody is getting married. Because let's face it, I think everyone's had a wedding cancelled this year, whether you're a photographer or not. Everyone's missing him. And for people to see they're back on in a way, it's almost like, oh, well, what about my wedding? Can I have my wedding this year? And then it sort of stems a conversation, doesn't it? And I'm currently talking with one of my couples for later this year, and they were just going to postpone completely. They're still going to postpone, but they're going to do like a similar sort of small day now. So that'd be like my fourth this year. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's go for it.
Very cool. But the thing, like I always think, and I've said it before, like the most important quality you can have as a wedding photographer is empathy, and like tuning into how your clients are feeling and how everyone's feeling on a wedding day. Really, parents, other wedding guests, all these people who are feeling different things and coming out from different angles. But the thing that came across to me most from the Instagram story was that you'd engineered that moment in a way. You'd taken them for the walk through the Northern Quarter, but it wasn't really to get a great picture, although you probably did get a great picture. But it's like you wanted to give them that moment, and you wanted to give everybody in Northern Quarter that moment, and you wanted to give yourself that moment of like ultimate positivity. So you came at it from a different angle of like, oh, this would make a cool picture. We should walk through here. It's almost like you were like empathy on steroids.
Yeah.
Like you wanted to make everyone feel good at that time.
100%. I wanted, so I'm very much a case of like, I want to create like incredible memories. I want to do stuff that's incredible. So for example, at the gathering last year, I wasn't really drunk at all one night, and people were singing karaoke, and I was like, that looks really fun. I want to get involved over that. I want to have a little bit of a sing. And I felt so awkward, like being there. People were like loving life. They'd had a bit of juice, you know what I mean? They were having a great time. And I just felt so awkward. But I was like, if I don't embed myself within this moment, then I'm never going to know if it would have been good or not, And it's like the same thing for my whole life, really. Every time I see something that's sort of like on the edge of sort of like being afraid, being scared, and just being pure excitement, you just go for it with 100% because you never know. Tomorrow may be your last, Adam.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's motivated, or I don't know where that goes. But if you could give people a tip or tips on how to bring their own personality into their own business, like, because a lot of people are scared to do this. I think a lot of people think that because it's their business and they need to behave a certain way or be a certain way with their clients. Like, have you got, obviously tip one, I guess, is to be a super extrovert, but like how do you think people can bring that into their business?
So I've started thinking about this a lot recently. So some people have asked me this, and I've been helping a couple of people on Instagram as well to try and like introduce themselves in their business and try and give it more of a face and stuff. But it's really, really hard for me to sort of describe how to do it. And it's just, mine comes from a really sort of deep place as well. So I don't really talk about like struggle that much, but obviously, that my partner went through a really, really tough time where she was in hospital for over a year and a half fighting leukemia. So I've got a comparison basis. I've got contrast for life in a way. So that's my lowest, and this is my highest in a way. And COVID coming along, and obviously people have passed away, and it's really terrible. But at the moment, like, I'm far away from the worst I've been in my life. Like, that was a really low point. And I think without that contrast, sometimes you can't almost be this level, if that makes. I don't really know, like, but it's definitely heightened since that incident within my life, and several other incidents that make me sort of think, yeah, geez, we're lucky. We are, I'm incredibly lucky, and it goes from there. So it's really hard to what's it, but yeah, maybe jump in and just go for it, jump in the deep end.
I mean, that's amazing to think that you've got that perspective on life. And you probably, maybe you do need that to be quite as all in as you are. But I think it's brilliant. But also, just to mention quickly, you were due to be a groom this year as well. You were due to get married this year. So, I mean, you're affected in a way that all photographers are affected, in that the rug was pulled from under us all, and our work disappeared or went to somewhere else. Hopefully for most of us it postponed. But you were due to be on the other side of the camera this year and be a groom, and you had to postpone your own wedding. So in a way, this is going to sound strange now, but I'm thinking of this on the fly. But this is actually going to be really helpful for you because you are already heart on your sleeve, empathetic wedding photographer. You have gone through this year everything that your couples have gone through this year. So the people that you're shooting next year, you're in exactly the same boat as they are on a personal level as well. So do you think that'll help you even more to have an even stronger connection with them? I
mean, yeah, it's bizarre, really. And my coping method for something like postponing our own wedding and anything else in life is I deal with it like months before it even happens. So I deal with it as a gradual process. I don't just get to the day and be like, oh no, it's postponed, sort of thing, and just get really upset about it. So I mean, since the pandemic sort of started, I was thinking, oh, there's a possibility. And I was like, there's more a possibility. So I've sort of whittled it down in a way with that. And when it comes to next year, like, I'll just be excited anyway, because I'll just be excited to be shooting, to be doing this again, and for there not to be a pandemic. I mean, whether it'll be that extra 10%, hopefully, maybe. Can there be 10% on 100%? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, going along with what you were just saying as well, like, one of my core things about how I run my business is I just want to run it how I would want someone to run it if I was hiring them, in a way, which is it's very strange in a way, because I can sort of dictate everything, and then I just find like-minded people like myself, and that's how it sort of works. So I never have to be a false facade. I never have to pretend to be anyone. I can just be myself every time, and it's great.
Yeah. That's good. I think just because you are the way you are, I think it will give you an extra. I think you'll find another level next year on that side of things. Personally, the way that you connect with your clients and the enjoyment you personally probably get out of the act of shooting weddings as well. I think you'll get even more out of it next year. The point of the whole conversation really is that you can't fake empathy. You can't fake wanting a strong connection with your clients. You can't fake wanting to do an amazing job by your clients. And I kind of agree with you. Like, I've always thought that, my pictures should do the talking, but if I was an idiot behind the scenes, I don't think anyone would book me, however good my pictures were. Anyway,
they'd find out though as well. They'd find out.
Yeah, and exactly. And it's a bit like going back to the moment you created for your couple last week when you took them through the Northern Quarter. Even though you kind of said in the story that you knew that they'd be like dying inside.
They literally said, we'd done it once. They literally said, don't do that again, something like that. And I purposely did it again. But that, like, I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I had known them and spent time with them and learned about them. I could have done that, and had I not had their empathy and their respect, it could have gone very wrong, and they could have, slammed something in my face or something, and told me I was the worst photographer under the sun. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it PG.
Exactly. But like, almost the point I'm kind of making is, in a way, I'm sure the photograph is great at that moment, but in a way, it wouldn't matter if it was an average photograph, because they would the experience that they can layer onto the top of that photograph makes that an amazing photograph to them.
So much, and I talk about this all the time. So I take some pretty average photos sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, like I do, everyone does. But the stuff within that photograph is greater for the person who's within it or is within that moment. So I talk a lot about how I am on the wedding day and how positive I am and how I make things fun and how we have a good time. And that very much comes across in the photographs then. And that person thinks, oh yeah, that was that dead fun moment that we did with Adam and stuff. And, it may not be the best composition. It may not be the best edit, and these kind of things. But it's more about how the couple feel about the photograph. We get so wrapped up in technicalities and, buzzwords and things like that, when really the couple, they just look at a photo and go, I like it or I don't like it. And we can't really change any of that with any technical jargon or words or anything like that. Like we need to, I often feel that we need to sort of let go of a lot of that and start thinking about what else we can inject into the image that is personal to them in a way. It was a massive thing. The wedding I did before last, I was talking to the groom and we were in the church waiting for the bride, and he's like, oh, have you seen the Bible passage above the archway? And I was like, oh no. He's like, oh, it's one of my favorite. So I was like, I framed one of the photos with that in it, and he's like put it on like all his thank you cards and stuff, and it's like, it's a decent photograph, I'm not gonna lie, I like it, but it's about being switched on to what they care about, I always feel, and thinking of them the whole time, and not getting too wrapped up in our minds about creating that mirror prism silhouette photo. And I'm just going to say for a caveat here that I have done a mirror photo recently.
It's fine. No, I think listening is such a huge skill in photography, in people photography. Like just like you say, just having those conversations and listening to what they actually say, and not just having those conversations for the sake of it. He's told you about the Bible passage he loves, and then you make a picture of it, and then he loves the picture. It's no coincidence that you listened to the answer and used it. And it reminds me of this is one of this really shaped a lot of the way that my photography went at one point. So this was probably back in like 2013, I think. I was shooting a wedding, and it was at a time when I was getting very, very, very obsessive about cool portraits. Fearless was a big thing in my mind back then, and I really wanted to win Fearless awards and win awards in general and get recognition for my work. And I was asking for more and more time from my couples basically to make portraits on the wedding day. And I was doing quite a high-end wedding up in Yorkshire, really cool venue, like loads and loads of options for portraits. And I think we'd gone off in a Land Rover down to the lake to do a few, and then we'd come back on the Land Rover back to the main house to do a few portraits. And I was just shooting, and I was very like, I was just concentrating on making the pictures basically. And I posed the couple, beautiful light, really cool spot. The composition was going to be amazing. And I can't remember who said it, the bride or the groom, but one of them said, "Can we go back to our guests in a minute?" And there was really like loads of disappointment in their voice that they were basically missing their wedding because I was trying to make cool pictures. It was a massive realization for me that wasn't what I wanted to be doing in weddings. I didn't want to be spoiling somebody's day just to make cool pictures. And obviously, straight away, I said, "Yeah, of course, go back to your guests." And instantly felt guilty. And even now, like the guilt of that little moment haunts me because I never want to do that again. And from that point on, I started hopefully to make it more and more and more and more and more about their experience on the day. And if I can slot in 5, 10, 15 minutes here and there to do a few pictures that I want to make for them, and I'll still even portraits, like I always feel like I'm doing it for the couple, but I'll never do what I did back then, which was that was probably an hour into a portrait session, and I'd disappointed them. I'd affected their day negatively, even though they loved the pictures, and afterwards they were all the compliments. They never came back and went, "Oh, I wish you hadn't done that." But I could have. The point I'm making, I guess, is that I could have made the most amazing picture at that moment, but they would have looked at the picture and remembered that was the moment when they were missing their wedding and missing their guests.
But if you think about it as what we were saying before, like how we were layering all these emotions on top of one photograph, if you think about the whole wedding day as a whole, and, first and foremost, recently, I've just been thinking about how can I just make this day the best day ever? You know what I mean? So like on Friday, I've like paid for a drink for the couple, paid for the Uber around Manchester and stuff like that. These little things. I'm like, oh yeah, come on guys, we'll get exec. Come on, we'll go all out on Uber sort of thing. And really pushing for it. And nothing being too much trouble. And I know like a lot of people are going away from this sort of like hero mentality of a wedding day. I'm not like fully there, like, oh, I'm going to sew the bride into a dress again today. Let's do it, sort of thing. But it's very much the case of, if they have a really, really good day and they feel like they've had a great day and none of that day is missed a beat, like you say, then all the photos are going to get like an extra like point, aren't they? Every single photo is going to be like, oh, because I had a great wedding day. And yeah, that's what they'll remember. And, like I've done the same thing in the past, like you just said, and, taken a couple just for too long or just been messing around for too long on a photograph and just instantly regretted it when you see their faces afterwards and you think you go back in and, their friends are doing shots without them or something. And, it's like, this is sad. This is where the party is. Like, it's not under that fairy lit pagoda outside.
Listen, Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and I think you're a total vindication of the fact that you can be entirely yourself, and that it actually strengthens your business. But not only that, it makes you enjoy the process even more. So I think everybody could learn a lot from that. Thanks for being on the DotCast.
Cheers, man. I literally I was gonna say this at the start, but like obviously I'm a huge podcast listener. Probably listen to 10 plus hours a week in a way, and It's a pleasure to sort of be featured on one for once. Yeah, I love it.
I've loved it too, and I will see you very soon.
All right, hit it.
Thanks once again to Adam Lowndes for this inspiring chat. Check out Adam's work at adamlowndes.co.uk or on Instagram where he's Adam Lowndes Photography. You could listen to previous episodes of the DotCast anywhere you normally listen to podcasts. And to find out more about what we do at NineDots, head over to nine-dots.co. To infinity and beyond.